Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by Milo Tree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Today, my guest is Sarah Cook, and Sarah Cook is the founder of SustainableCooks.com. She is into healthy, tasty, and sustainable food and life. She used to blog under a blog called Frugal by Choice, Cheap by Necessity. So Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here, Jillian.
Oh, good. Well, first of all, what I loved about you was when you reached out to me and you said, you're the only person who's ever done this, who said, I have made a ton of blogging mistakes and I would be happy to share them with your audience. And I was just, checking out your blog, and I love your sense of humor.
Oh, thank you.
I love your honesty.
Well, in life, we can't hide who we are, not for very long. So you might as well just be who you are from the start.
Yes. And there, again, I will say that there's something very refreshing about that as we all try to present ourselves in a better light than, we might normally be. So Sarah, will you share how you started your blog, how it evolved, and where it is now?
Sure. So I started blogging in 2010, way back before the internet earth had cooled. So I'm a bit of a blogging dinosaur.
Okay.
And I started blogging because on April 1st, so April Fool's Day of 2010, my husband was laid off from his job.
Ooh.
And very stressful situation. We had a 1-year-old.
Ooh.
And I had just taken a huge pay cut because we had moved from Los Angeles back to our hometown near Seattle.
Okay.
So, things were already tight and it was really stressful. And I started learning a bunch of stuff as I was adapting our budget and all those things. And I really wanted to share it. And the group of friends I was sharing it with, I realized I was kind of being annoying. So I thought, I'll just start a blog and share it there.
Okay. So this was just a personal thing.
It was just a personal thing. I like to say that at the time, blogging was cheaper than therapy.
Okay.
I couldn't afford therapy. So it was just kind of I'm a big list maker. So it was a way for me to kind of be like, okay, this is what we're doing this week. And this is how much money we're saving this way. This is what we're eating. And then over months and months, I realized that my real passion was what we were eating. And so, the gardening and the homemade cleaning supplies and all that, that was fine and that was still really enjoyable. But the food is what I really enjoyed most about blogging and sharing our journey.
Okay. And so now, was it hard at all to be putting yourself out there talking about how you were budgeting and stuff like that? Or was that liberating?
It was liberating, and I'm a chronic oversharer. Anyone who has read my blog knows I probably share too much, but it's all part of the journey. And also, if you think back to 2010, a ton of people were going through the same situation.
Yes.
A lot of people had it worse.
Yes.
But it wasn't. This is me, and I'm all alone doing this. This is us, and we're kind of all in it together. And at first, again, I didn't really know anyone was reading. So as it grew, I was like, oh, I helped this person today realize that they could make bread for 60 cents instead of buying it for $3 at the store.
Wow.
So I did that while working full time.
And what were you doing?
I worked for a medical nonprofit.
Okay.
I did recruiting for them. And so I was working full time and commuting. And after my husband was laid off, he decided he was going to become a firefighter. Well, we had moved to Los Angeles a few years before so that he could pursue his dream of working in television and film, which he actually did. He did lighting and electrical on movie sets and a lot of reality TV shows. And so, when we moved home, it was kind of like, all right, let's be normal, let's have normal jobs. And then, kind of the earth fell out from under us, and he decided, I'm gonna go be a firefighter, which if anyone knows any firefighters, they'll all tell you it's extremely hard to get into. It's very expensive and it takes forever.
Really?
So,
I had
my
no
gosh.
idea.
No, I like to say it's like trying to join the mob. You pretty much have to like kill somebody to get a job as a firefighter. It's a really, really hard industry and it's very expensive to get into.
Because,
Well, you have to, every department requires a physical test and a written test, and you have to pay for each test, but no two departments require the same test. So every time you go to apply, you're taking $200 to $300 worth of tests for this one department, and you may not even get an interview.
okay.
Yeah, so it's stressful.
So did he ultimately get in?
Yes. It took 4 years and more money than I would ever admit to in public. But yes, he is a full-time firefighter.
Okay. And does he like it?
He loves it.
Okay. Okay. So that has a happy ending.
That has a very happy ending, yes.
Okay. So during this time, you're blogging.
I'm blogging, yes.
And
I'm
are
not-
you starting to make money?
I think I put Google AdSense on about 6 to 9 months in, but it was just, a little bit here and there. I wasn't doing it as a business. I was doing it as a hobby. And anyone who has small kids, and, my husband was gone all the time, anyone who has small kids often knows that, when they're very little, there's not a lot in your life that's yours.
Yes, definitely.
And so this was mine. This was something I could do. It was free. I could do it in my spare time, which wasn't a lot. And I enjoyed it. So, selfishly, it was what I wanted to do, and I could do it.
And are you still working at this point for in your nonprofit?
I don't work there anymore.
No, but I mean during this time when you were starting up your blog, like what were you working and raising your family and blogging?
Yes, all of those things. But I wasn't blogging well. I'll definitely admit to that. So I'd put a post up when I thought about it. I'd write about whatever I wanted to write about. It was just like, hey, this is me kind of mentality.
Got it. And when did it start to shift?
Sadly, not until like last year.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have a very, very loyal audience, and like I like to say they have to be loyal because I pretty much gave them crappy content for years.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean if you look back on the archives, and please don't, it's not the best stuff ever.
Okay.
But I did connect with a lot of people, and I think I helped them feel like they weren't alone. So, they were either going through financial difficulties or they were going through, a job transition, or they had little kids and they kind of felt out of control with their situation. They could at least relate to me in that regard.
Right.
But other than that, what I gave them was not great.
Okay.
Yeah. And so last May, May of 2017,
Okay.
I was listening to a blogging podcast, which I had never even known existed. I just
Okay.
randomly found it.
And which one?
Food Blogger Pro.
Got it.
And I realized.
By the way, I was on it.
I know.
Oh.
That's how I found out about
I
you.
love that podcast. I love Bjork.
They're so great.
They are.
But I realized, oh my gosh, there's so much stuff I don't know. So it was a whole just new world for me. And up until that point, I was like, you know what? I need to quit doing this. I'm not giving anyone any value. I'm not giving myself any value. Like, this isn't enjoyable anymore. I sit down to write a blog post and I'm like, ugh, I don't even know what to write about, kind of thing.
Okay.
And so it's really been a journey since May of 2017. And I feel like every day I learn 10 things I wish I had known when I first started. But man, something lit a fire in me, and I feel like I've turned everything around. I'm blogging for I like to say the we instead of the me. So
Okay. Can you unpack that? What does that mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So it means that when I sit down to write a blog post, it's not like, oh, I'm going to use this time to complain about, I don't know, this person who cut me off in traffic or something, which I mean, I'll still throw in from time to time.
Okay.
But it's, hey, I'm going to put this blog post out there and I need to know ahead of time how this is going to help my reader go about their day in a better way.
Got it.
And sometimes that's just like they need a little bit of humor in their life. But other times it's, hey, this is a 25-minute dinner that you can make from scratch with all natural, real food ingredients and still get your kids to soccer practice on time and not go through the drive-through and spend, $35.
Got it. And what would you say, what are your most useful posts for your audience? Like, is it that? Is it the quick meal? Is it the kind of, I'm overwhelmed as a parent? Like, where do you feel you connect the most with your audience? You provide the most value?
So I think so. Yeah, for me, it's the quick meal, and my readers tend to love quick meals, healthy meals, and side dishes.
Okay.
They're not really into desserts, though sometimes I will still do a dessert from time to time. But within my posts, I also like to weave in short personal stories because, back in the day when I was blogging, it was 600 words about what I ate for breakfast or something like that. So now it's like snippets of real life. But also I don't sugarcoat things,
Right. That's what I have to say. That's what I really like about your blog.
Yeah, we can't be perfect. Nobody's perfect. And if we waste all of our energy trying to pretend we're perfect, at the end of the day, there's nothing left for us. So I'd rather just say, you know what? My kids are driving me nuts today.
Right.
And I made this dish and they're still driving me nuts. But at the end of the day, I really liked eating this for dinner kind of thing.
Am I right? I don't like my kids right now, but I like my dinner.
Exactly. Like yesterday, I told my 9-year-old, you know what? Next summer, I'm putting you in summer camp every single week because I cannot be around you this much right now.
Right. I read that. And I read your joke about Ambien too.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think so how does your audience then reach out to you? How do you know how you're connecting to them?
So I would say it depends on the platform. My, on the blog, I can tell based on comments.
Okay. So people
emails,
are commenting on your posts?
Yes.
Okay.
For my email subscribers, I can tell based on, open rates.
Okay.
So, hey, I wrote this really great post and I spent 8 hours researching it and only 30% of my readers opened it. Or, and then I start looking at, well, geez, consistently they're not opening these types of posts. Okay, so what's that telling me? It's telling me my readers don't care about desserts or they don't want them from me, basically.
Got it. Yep.
Instagram, I base it, you kind of have to do it on a vanity metrics of likes, engagement, comments, direct messages, that kind of thing. Facebook, comments and shares. And then also emails. I have a really, really engaged readership and they will happily email me and let me know what they thought about something. And sometimes it's positive and sometimes it's not, but it's all a way to kind of interpret their feedback.
And what kind of negative feedback have you gotten?
At the start, it was my language, so I can be kind of salty.
Okay.
But I stopped either responding to those or just let people know, you know what, the internet's a really great big place, and if I don't resonate with you, there's other places out there for you.
Got it.
You wouldn't come into my house and tell me how to speak in my house, so find something that fits better with you.
Okay. That's good. And you will respond, or now you don't?
I will, yeah. For if someone's aggressively rude or anything like that, I'll just let it go. Okay. Especially on Facebook. My friend once gave me the great advice of don't engage the crazy.
Okay.
But I find that I don't have a lot of that. And if I do, oddly enough, my readers are the ones who take care of it.
I wanted to take a short break and give you guys some props because I know how many hats you have to wear as a creative entrepreneur. And I know how important growing social media is and growing your email list. And that's why at Milo Tree, our goal is to lighten your load a little bit. So, MiloTree is a series of smart pop ups you install on your site, program it how you like, super easy to set up. And what it does is it puts your follower growth, your subscriber growth on autopilot. Again, it's one less job than you have to worry about. So check it out at milotree.com. Add it to your site, see how it works. And what's great is we give you your first 30 days free, so there's really no risk. And now, back to the show. Here's a question.
Yeah.
So the first mistake that you made for a lot of years was that it was your blog, you saw it as about you and not about us.
Exactly. Yep.
What would you say two other mistakes you made at the beginning, or not even at the beginning, up until last year? What would you say where have your eyes opened to go, oh, this is what I need to be doing?
Oh gosh, there's so many more than just two mistakes. But I didn't know what SEO was until May of last year. So
Okay.
I had been blogging for 7 years and
Wow.
not a single thought had been put into search engine optimization. And I would also say my photography was atrocious. It was terrible. And it's still my biggest pain point.
Okay.
But it was just, I mean, I was working full time. The only time I had time to write or take pictures was at 10 o'clock at night in my fluorescently lit kitchen. And, I'd take a cell phone picture or a terrible DSLR photo that I didn't know how to use my camera. And I'd put it up because that's all I had time for. And so when I say my readers have stuck with me through thick and thin, they were looking at some junk for years, Jillian.
Wow. But again, there's something, I don't know, poignant about this, that it isn't all about the beautiful photos, and it isn't all about SEO, that people are finding you on Google. It's that somebody stumbles upon you and they connect to you and they stick in there because they they want to feel connected.
Yeah, they had to dig in pretty deep because I didn't give them a lot of surface area to hold on to.
Yes. And by the way, for people who want to learn about SEO, go back into my archives because we have some really great, I've done some interviews on SEO that will really give you some insights into how to think about it. But how did you start to fix your photography? Because I was just on your blog and I was not turned off by I'm now looking. I think your photos are really pretty.
Thank you. If you go back 18 months, you would probably have a different comment. Basically, I listened to a few podcasts about photography, specifically food photography. I bought the Pinch of Yum food photography ebook.
Yep.
And I went to a food photography workshop in Seattle.
Okay.
But basically, I feel like what really started helping me was when I got my photos out of the kitchen. So I have an amazing amount of natural light, except in my kitchen. And I was trying to force the situation. I was trying to take pictures in the kitchen because it was convenient for me. So now I have to take my pictures in the living room on my footstool pushed up against a window, which makes it very interesting when you have a 2-year-old running around.
Right.
But you know what? Sometimes he makes it in the pictures stealing a bite or something like that. But I think it was just realizing that I didn't have to follow what I thought were the rules. It was experiment, take 1,000 photos, and maybe you'll get 6 good ones. And then next week.
Yeah. My mother-in-law will always be like, wow, Jill, you take beautiful photos. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This was 4,000 photos and there's one good one. Chances, just the law of big numbers is in my favor. I'll get one good photo.
Exactly. And next week you might take 3,900 photos and get 2 good ones.
Exactly. But
the only way to learn is to keep trying.
Yes. I completely agree with you. Then so are you working now full time, or is this your full-time job or your part-time job?
So this is my full-time job. I don't yet make a full-time income. So it's good that my husband does have his full-time job, and he's extraordinarily supportive of this because he says, for years you supported us and let me do my dreams, and now it's my turn.
And how are you thinking about monetizing? What are your strategies? How have you started?
So I monetize through ads, and I also do affiliate marketing.
Okay.
Through mainly Amazon, but a few other small, channels.
Okay.
But recently I was approved for a new ad network. So that will be starting next week. So that's very exciting.
Okay.
And
what is the ad network?
Mediavine.
Okay. Great.
And for the next kind of 2 to 3 months, my plan is to really try and ramp up sponsored posts, because I've done a few here and there, but I've never had any direction with how I reach out to companies. I've never really had any good follow through on my part. And I feel like that's kind of where that's where I'm missing a lot of opportunities, basically.
Got it. And is your plan to reach out to brands or to join networks that where you could get sponsored posts?
So my plan is to reach out to brands because I'm in at least one network for sponsored posts, but through the law of averages,
yes,
you either don't get picked, or when you look at the amount of work that's required for X number of dollars, you're like, that's not worth it to me. I feel like when you go through a network, the pay is quite low.
Right. Yes. I agree. I'm like reading right now. Sorry. I'm reading. I love this. That in your bio, you say, yo, I'm Sarah Cook, and Sustainable Cooks is your guide to a healthy, tasty, and sustainable life. Unfiltered, no BS, come for the food, stay for the snark.
Yep.
And I just, and I love like in your nav bar, all the different things you have. Like, I feel like you are a unique voice in the world of food bloggers. And because you're kind of saying it how it is and you're putting your truth out there.
Yeah, and like I've said, trying to be someone else, at the end of the day, you get nothing out of it, your readers get nothing out of it, and you're going to burn yourself out really, really quickly. So I realize I'm not for everyone, but that's fine. I don't need to be for everyone. If the people who are with me are really with me, then that's what I need. I need those raving fans instead of people who are like, it's fine.
Right. Well, that's what I like. Sorry, but like the wheels are turning in my head. And I'm like, how can you monetize your snark, your food and your snark? And I don't quite know, but if anybody listening to this has some ideas on how she can monetize her snark, I feel like that is a really strong competitive advantage.
I could be a billionaire if snark was monetized.
Yeah, but I'm just like thinking about it. I'm like, wow, she has pretty photos. She's got some, like, you've got some attitude. And I feel like a lot of food blogs kind of do similar stuff. It's hard to differentiate many of them.
Yeah, I mean, being vanilla in the world is not my goal in life.
So like, what social networks work for you?
Facebook to an extent. I mean, Facebook to the extent that it works for anybody these days.
Yes.
But for me, it's really Instagram.
Okay.
I have a small following. I mean, if you looked at the amount of people I have following me, it's not a lot. It's under 1,000.
Okay.
But I didn't focus on Instagram for years. I mean, I'd throw up a picture every 6 months and be like, hey, hashtag whatever, because I didn't understand it.
Right.
So that's an area I need to work on. But at the same time, I think they say the average Instagram post gets, 1 to 3% of engagement.
Right.
And my posts get like 9 to 12%.
Wow.
So I don't have a huge number, but what I'm doing, the people that I have,
right.
I mean, we're each other's ride or die kind of situation.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
Oh, like the people you will like defend and applaud, and you want to see them succeed. And when something happens in their life, you celebrate along with them.
Right. Right.
So one thing I do is I follow most of my followers, and if I don't follow them, it's not because I'm ignoring them or anything. It's just, maybe they snuck in and I didn't happen to see them. So I know a ton about my followers. I know their kids' names, I know their struggles, I know their pains, I know, their mother passed away last week, that kind of thing. So not only am I able to connect with them on that level, it helps me figure out how to tailor my content to meet what their pain points are.
Right. And what would you say their pain points are? Again, right, we talked about they want quick meals, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I would say most people are just really overwhelmed. They don't know where to start and they feel like they're set up for failure from the beginning. And so
Right.
it's easier to just not do anything.
Ooh, got it. Oh, I have so many ideas for you. I'm like, you could help people through this with some snark, with some attitude.
Yeah, some tough love, but some snuggles at the same time.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I feel from you. That's really wonderful. And then I'm looking at your website and you also have resources on there to help other bloggers.
Yeah, people would reach out for me to me from time to time and be like, "Hey, what's this or what's this?" I have a follower on Instagram right now who's trying to get a blog launched, and so rather than just send everyone information kind of piecemeal, like, "Oh, this is what I did," I thought putting it in one place. I still love to answer their questions, but I always do say, "Hey, check this out first, and then let's talk about it."
Right. I don't see Milo Tree on your resources page. Just
Oh, well, I'm
FYI.
sorry. I do need to add that. It's good.
We have a really good affiliate program. We pay $20 a conversion, just FYI.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, but I have to say, like, this is really interesting because there is something raw about you. And I love that you're kind of in it right now and really finding your way.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the middle of it. I mean, I don't have the answers, but
Right.
I have some.
But you
Or
have something, by the way, that I believe is your secret sauce. And that is this deep connection to your audience.
yeah, my readers are the best, and I'll shout that from the rooftop. And I'm willing to do not anything for them, but I want to make them happy because they are amazing and they are deserving of if they're spending their precious time giving me a few minutes, I want to make it worth their while.
So I feel that. So I don't know exactly what it could be, but I feel like you could monetize that in an authentic way. Whether
Yeah,
helping them through their difficulty.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to figure it out myself too.
Well, we could talk offline about it if you'd like.
Okay.
Just because I think that it comes through. Like it just totally comes through. Like I'm really impressed with that. Okay, so in terms of mistakes, let's go back to that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Okay, so you didn't know SEO. You didn't
At
take
all.
good photos. You didn't know to think about your audience.
Right?
And what else would you say you were not doing great at?
So I last fall decided. So take a step back. The website you're looking at now is new. I rebranded in January of 2018. So new site, new name, new URL, all that.
Okay.
So up until I had quit my old job, I had never formally introduced myself to my readers, so they didn't know my last name was Cook. And if you want to be in the food blogging space and your last name is Cook, I mean, that's a huge missed opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's just because I worked in a public job. So it was a public nonprofit, and it wasn't fair to my company for readers to associate me with the role that I did. And so I kind of just shut down that personal side of me. So with leaving my old job and being able to be, okay, this is who I am, that kind of thing. I mean, it was a huge opportunity to rebrand. I also was super over my old site's name. It was a mouthful. It took forever to say, and it just put me into a niche that I no longer really was a part of.
Okay.
So I felt like I couldn't be as authentic as I wanted to be. So last September or August, I decided to change the permalinks on my website. So I had originally started with Blogger back in 2010,
Okay.
and when I converted to a WordPress site in 2014, I had dates in my URLs. Yeah. Oh,
Okay. So let's just, I want to explain what that means. In somebody's URL, it has what the title is. And I think as a WordPress default, it will add the date. So it will say, January, like 01/01 2015, if that's when you publish the blog, that post, right?
yep.
Okay, and just so we all know, you do not want dates in your URLs because, of course, it dates your content.
Yes, and not only that, but if you want to update your content
Yes,
and then also republish it,
yes.
it puts it out under a new URL.
Oh, well, if you take off that date.
Yes, but if you republish, even if you republish the old, if you republish the old post under a new date, then it changes the URL.
Yes.
So you have to redirect it, which can be glitchy. And so last year when I decided to do this by myself, which was
Ooh.
dumb.
Yep.
Yeah. So
No,
then
sorry,
I was,
I don't mean to
no,
call
it's
you
okay.
dumb.
No, I called myself dumb, so don't
Okay.
you worry about it.
Okay.
So essentially what I did this for a month. So I changed my permalinks and then I started updating my most popular posts.
Okay.
And I was using a redirect plugin to do all that updating. And then I changed my permalinks. So what I essentially did was going into Q4, so the fourth quarter traffic, I broke all my most popular posts that were on Pinterest. So anytime someone had saved or whatever one of my old popular posts, when they went to click on it, because maybe they wanted to make X, Y, or Z for Christmas, it then directed them to a broken link.
Right. And Google hates this. Google hates this.
Yeah, Google and I were not friends for a very long time. We're getting much closer.
Just for anybody who has dates in their URLs, you want to get rid of them, but you want to hire somebody to help you do it because
don't do it yourself.
It's too valuable to you. Those URL links are very valuable, and Google gets really mad. It doesn't really get mad, but it will punish your site for broken links.
And it definitely did.
Okay,
me.
so did your site get hit in a...
Just record low traffic.
Yep. And I have this new thing that I wanted to share, which is be mindful of like updating your blogs and like, rolling out a new blog. Anytime we have done that, we have gotten so punished. So just like by Google. So just be very careful. If you can make just stylistic changes without changing the fundamental underlying platform, I highly recommend it.
Yes, from a structural standpoint, for sure. And then when I rebranded at the end of January of this year, I definitely got dinged by Google for about 4 months.
Okay.
But I am on the upward swing now, and I'm on track to have the best month I've ever had this month in the middle of the summer slump.
That's terrific. Terrific. Okay, that's wonderful. So so I think the lesson there is just to be really mindful of links. And so now you're on WordPress.
Yes, and I've been on WordPress since 2014, but I was on WordPress through my old site. So everything had to be connected to the new site.
Got it. So here's my question, which is, let's say I am a blogger like you and I've been at it for a while and I didn't know about things like SEO, or I feel behind. What would you say to that person to keep them going?
Well, first I'd give them some chocolate.
Oh, okay.
And then I would say, if what you're doing now isn't working, continuing to do the same thing is not going to be working in a year. So it's time to bring in some fresh blood, whether that's through education or, which is what I did. Podcasts are free. They're absolutely free. and you get such a wealth of information. Your podcast has been amazing. There's
Oh,
like 10 others that I listen to, and every time I listen, I learn something new, and I'm like, oh gosh, man, I wish I had known that 8 years ago. But what I would say is if you're not getting any traction, definitely doing the same thing is not going to move you in the momentum that you want to be in. And I would also say that, once I realized this is kind of what I want to do, there was always a but what if in my life. So I was working full time, so I could be a popular or a successful blogger, but if I didn't have to work full time.
mm,
And then when I quit working, I'm like, okay, now I can be popular. But, my parents at the time lived with us, and I was a caregiver for my mom. I'm like, oh, well, I don't have as much time to devote to the blog because I'm helping out my mom and I had a new baby. So, I'll be successful when all of these things kind of like fall into place. And then soon after I quit my job, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and, we had her for another 11 months.
mm.
And that time was amazing, and hard, very, very hard. But then when she passed, I was like, okay, now this is the time I need. Now I can focus on me. And, it didn't really happen until I was like, made a plan, got new resources, things like that. So there's always going to be something mentally that is preventing you from being successful. And you just have to plow through it and realize I need new tools in my arsenal.
I like that. I really like that. And now, given that I believe your special sauce is your authenticity, your willingness to say stuff that other people might be shocked by, that kind of thing. What would you say to bloggers who, let's say, are food bloggers, but who are trying to find their special sauce?
Well, I mean, you can talk with friends and family who are willing to be straightforward with you and be like, when you think of me, what comes to mind? Like, how have I helped you, or what's special about me? There's a test that I had to do for work one time. It's called the Jory window. I don't know if you've
Okay.
ever heard of that. It's
No.
like JOHARI window.
Okay.
I'm sure if you Google it, there's a
Yeah, I'm
free
going to put
test
a
out
link
there.
in the show notes. Okay.
And so, I mean, it's been a few years since I've done it. So you have to think there's a list of descriptive terms, and you have to pick like 2 for you. And then you send the link to like 10 other people, and they have to pick from this list of descriptive terms for you and pick a few. And then at the end, you get this little report that said, okay, here's what you think about you, and here's what everyone else thinks about you. And I realized when I did this, I was incredibly hard on myself, and everybody else who selected terms for me was much more giving and kind. And I was like, well, if all these people are seeing something that I'm not seeing, like, what is that saying about my current level of self-awareness?
So what terms did you choose, and what terms were other people choosing?
Oh gosh, it's been like 5 years. I don't really remember, but I think I said something like, it wasn't like assertive, but it was something that I picked that I thought was negative. And then other people were using like giving and, I don't know, like selfless and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, well, what are these people seeing in me? That kind of thing.
I like that. Oh, I like that. I'm going to.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, was it scary to hear what people thought?
I mean, I used to work in corporate a long time ago, so I'm used to hearing what people think.
Okay.
So no, it wasn't. But I think what was really interesting for me was realizing that nobody saw my flaws in the way that I saw them. People weren't looking at me and seeing the negative, they were seeing the positive. And maybe I needed to start doing that for myself.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay. So if people want to reach out to you, and again, because I love that you're so open to that, what is the best way for people to connect with you?
So, I mean, I think it depends. Obviously, you can go to my website, sustainablecooks.com. I'm on Sustainable Cooks at Pinterest and Instagram. On Facebook, unfortunately, because, years ago I didn't really think through things. I'm at Frugal Sarah C. But if you type in
Okay.
Sustainable Cooks, it will eventually connect you to me. But if anyone out there is a blogger and has questions and wants to talk more deeply about the really stupid things I've done, they can just email me at sarah@sustainablecooks.com. I'm pretty much an open book, and I'll tell you my experience. And if you ask me for advice, I'll give it to you. But I'm happy to share my mistakes so that other people don't repeat them.
Yeah, and definitely check out her website because you will get to know her within like a post or two.
Oh, thank you
So
for saying
I
that.
really I really respond, and for you, Sarah, too, to think about how can you build on this because it's really special.
Well, now you have my wheels churning, Jillian.
Oh, good. And if you want, again, we could talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, well, wonderful. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for being on the show.
Jillian, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
If you're enjoying the Blogger Genius podcast, please head over to iTunes and rate us. You don't even have to leave a review, but I think if we get enough ratings and they're high, then iTunes it'll signal to them that our podcast is worth listening to. So I want to thank you in advance. So thank you and come back next week.